This is Jamie Drummond for Good Food Revolution. I'm here with Jennifer McLagan. How are you today, Jennifer?
I'm great, Jamie.
Now, I know you through your books Fat, Bones, Odd Bits, and now you have a new one in the works that I believe you're proofreading for the second time this week. Would you mind explaining a little bit about your new book?
Well, my new book is called Bitter, a taste of the world's most dangerous flavor with recipes. And it's about the taste of bitter. Bitter foods, which are mainly vegetables, not a lot of meat in this book. And it's also about how we taste. It's about how we perceive taste. I mean, there's a lot of things that play into how we taste other than just our tongue and a sense of smell. There's environment, culture, genetics, even the shape of the plate we eat the food of.
Have there been many studies upon this topic previous to this book that you're about to have published?
You know, I think bitter is one of those things that gives people a negative reaction. And so just recently, bitter's become popular in the cocktail world. People are rediscovering the importance of bitters in making a good drink, and that's like bitters in alcohol, but not so much in food. So that's why I wanted to tackle this topic. And also people are becoming very interested in how we taste. They're trying to understand what makes flavor in our brain, because flavor really isn't just our tongue and our sense of smell. It is something we create in our brain, and we can get distracted in lots of ways. You know, our sense of sight, for example, distracts us a lot from what we're actually tasting. In fact, it can be so strong that it can overpower the information that comes from our tongue and our nose and tell us something totally different.
Could you give me an example of this happening?
Well, they've done tests of tasting chips. This is not a bitter thing, but chips or crisps. In England, they did this study, and they switched the packages from the salt and vinegar flavor with the cheese and onion. And they switched them around, and then when people tasted them, even though they were eating the cheese and onion, they were sure it was salt and vinegar because it was in the salt and vinegar package. So the color was telling them what it was. And another good example is Heston Blumenthal. He has a beetroot and orange jelly on his menu, which, when it comes to the table, it's a little square of jelly that is orange colored and beetroot colored. But not until people close their eyes and eat the jelly do they realize that the orange part of the jelly is the beetroot flavored, and the purpley part is blood orange flavored.
Oh,
they just
smart.
Assume it's the other way around. Yes. So it's very, very strong, and I think it influences things. You know how popular radicchio is compared to something like escarole, or Campari compared to Fernet Branca, and maybe because they're colored red. Because when we have something red, we perceive it as less bitter than something that is brown. They've done tests with that too. Clear liquids, and then they dye them red, and when people taste them, they think that the same liquid dyed red is less bitter than the clear liquid.
Previous to your studies for this book, were you a fan of bitter flavors?
I've always been a fan. This book really started with grapefruit. I was talking to a friend and I said, why can't you get a good bitter grapefruit anymore? They're all pink and red and sweet. You know, when I was a kid, I grew up with bitter grapefruit. You know, I used to serve them in a restaurant, like grilled with a little sugar and cherry on the top. Yes. Where do you see a grilled grapefruit on a menu today? Nowhere. But it's a great appetizer because it's kind of complex with that bitterness in there. See, bitterness makes things complex and interesting. It doesn't have to be bitter when you eat it. It just needs a hint or a nuance of the bitter taste to make it much more interesting.
In the subtitle to the book, you mentioned that you have recipes included. What kind of recipes have you brought to this book?
Oh, different kinds of ones, from simple things like cooking chicories or to classic Belgian endive with like a cheese sauce on the top, to something like a Suze sorbet. Suze is a bitter alcohol that you find in France a lot. To one of my favorites is a tobacco panna cotta.
Oh, very good.
So it ranges the whole spectrum.
Well, Jennifer, I believe we're looking forward to seeing this book sometime in the fall of 2014.
That's right.
We very much look forward to having a look at it when it gets here, and thank you very much for joining us today at Good Food Revolution.
Thank you, Jamie. It was fun.